You are watching or listening to Jade Emerald Green. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow so that you are staying connected with the daily content arrivals that are made just for you. Thank you. Hello, good morning. Today is Friday, June 27th, 2025, and you are watching or listening to the Daily Collective Tarot and Oracle reading on Jade Emerald Green. Okay, y'all. I don't know what's up in the L, but I don't know. Last night has been wild in Milwaukee. There was a officer-involved shooting where 2 officers were shot, and people or I guess the police are searching for the known suspect. There were other shootings in the area. There are a lot of parties also going on. So I think it's just that mix of the whack and the wild. I don't know. Anything that has anything to do with police is whack. While I'm not condoning any violence against anyone, I don't believe anyone should be a police officer. It just doesn't end well for anybody, for the officers or for the people. So, and I think about the vast amount of resources now that are being utilized to try to find this person, all this stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't, the whole concept of like policing just doesn't sit right with me as it is in I mean, across the world, but especially here, given the history of policing coming from slave catching and everything like that. There was something I had seen during Juneteenth time. Someone released the article that there are more incarcerated black men today than there were slaves at one point in the 1800s. So I think that's a lot of food for thought today. And we'll see how this kind of relates to whatever we got going on here today. So if this is your first time here, I do a combination of tarot and oracle readings. I do situation, action, outcome spread, but expanded and stylized here. Our first question is always going to be, what the fuck are we doing here? Followed by, what the fuck are we supposed to do about it, which is our recommended course of action. Where's the fuckery is the action to avoid. What happens when we do what the fuck we're supposed to do is the likely outcome based off of the recommended action. What the fuck fuckery is the likely outcome based off of the action that we are supposed to avoid. And as always, we have a clarifier. So, and then we have several oracle decks that we pull from so that we kind of have additional context as to what we're dealing here each day. So without further ado, I'm just going to turn these over. All right. Seems like we're finally coming to our senses. Alrighty. And today I've put out an assortment of crystals. Y'all, I promise you I'll be mixing these cards well. We definitely have something different, but also two cards in particular came back around. I think will be funny. for today. Okay. We have a lot of cup action, so we are in our fifis today. We are definitely in our fifis today. 4 out of 6 of these tarot cards are in the suit of cups. Alrighty, so without further ado, what the fuck are we doing here? Now we have the Queen of Cups. Are we the master of our emotions, or are we the master manipulator? Okay. I am not necessarily getting that this is the fairest of queens right now. Contextually, I feel like this is someone or some people or some entity that is trying to pull at our heartstrings right now, and they know how to do so. They know how to make a good story. They know how to, what they, as they call it, get the people going. And so that is what's being utilized right now. It looks like this queen here is like watching a good like soap opera or like dramatic movie and is so into it, and it's like it's taking all of her attention right now. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, are you in real life? Are you here with the rest of us, or are you caught up in the drama? Be careful. So I mean positive qualities of the Queen of Cups would include emotional fulfillment through a feminine angle of mastery, meaning that one is not overly emotional, but is able to, basically see the fruits of their labor and have, a feeling of being emotionally exalted as a result of the labor that they've perhaps put into something that they feel strongly about. Which is, that's the type of queen we want. We want a constructive queen, right? What I'm also getting here is just like the sachet chante of it all. Like, this queen is gonna fight for, what's rightfully hers. But sometimes, what are we really fighting for? Are we fighting for something that is worthwhile? Just because we feel strongly about something doesn't make it necessarily something that is of the right priority. Always assess one's priorities, okay? And if one's priorities is, sitting around and like getting to and finding out what happens to that person in the TV show, or what happens on Baddies, or Power, or whatever, like, but you're taking that approach to your real life, you're gonna need to pump the brakes. Otherwise, you're putting your kingdom at risk. Are you creating value? You are in too high of a position as a queen to be getting caught up in the reverie, so to speak, getting caught up in the drama. I'm really feeling the shadow side today here in our situation of the Queen of Cups, especially because what the fuck are we supposed to do about this, situation? We gotta leave some of those things that, that we feel are our battle to take on. We gotta leave that shit behind me. We gotta walk away. Choosing virtue. Let me see if I can find. I recently pulled this. There is a. Nope, that's not that. It's right here. Okay. So there's a really cool deck that I should probably acquire really soon called the Philosopher's Tarot. And I kind of like the juxtaposition here, because this is definitely closer to like the traditional RWS, where you see the figure walking away from these series of cups onto, better territory, better shores, so to speak. The Philosopher Tarot seems, it puts the cup on the other side of the journey. Like we are walking to more virtuous emotions, walking to, you know, a more a cleansed side of our emotional well-being. So yeah, we have to choose what serves us. That's always going to be the question, you know, the balance of service to self, service to others, but also like, you know, what's serving our virtues versus what is serving our lesser part of us, right? So I just find this interesting, so I just would like to put this here. I think either way, it's like we have to walk away from things that used to be emotionally fulfilling for us, but something that we've outgrown here, in order to walk towards something that is more fulfilling and more of like geared toward like who we are now, what our goals are, our higher selves, right? And we cannot cry over spilled milk here. This is where the fuckery is. That's what I'm saying. You gotta move on. You can't be the you know, the messy queen all your damn life, you know? At some point you have to stop. Excuse me, all this shaking here because I have the phone on the charger. You gotta stop crying over spilled milk. The things that give us a source of pain, those bad memories, people, or, you know, whether it's like trauma, you know, this, I mean, it could run deep. I'm not saying that this is an easy task to complete, to be able to let go of the things that have hurt us, because we want to make things right for our inner child. We want to sometimes just have this sense of like, oh, I made this right. I did this. I was, you know, you can make a lot of things right just by letting go. I promise you. Because I think this is what we're getting at right here. Because what happens when we do what the fuck we're supposed to do, right? If we do what the fuck we're supposed to do, we stop being that messy ass queen and we start being on our shit and protecting what's ours, getting really to the point of where we are using facts over feelings, okay? And we are being of service to our kingdom, our queendom, by being able to face things head on, face forward, being present. I think it's very important that this queen in this particular deck is facing straight forward, just like the king does in the suit traditionally. Look, being present allows us to make sure we're not missing out on things that are, you know, the opportunities that we actually need to get the things that we actually want to get done, Joe. So, yeah. Facts over feelings, okay? We can't stay sitting on the couch our whole lives, right? Now, what the fuckery? If we keep on with the keeping on, if we keep on beating a dead horse, not doing our emotional growth work that we need to do so that we can get more to that Queen of Swords outcome, and we keep looking at these cups, I mean, we're gonna look crazy because we're not gonna really know what direction that we're gonna go into, where, you know, where we think the past is still an option, we think the same people that had always been around are still an option. Like, you don't want to be looking crazy. This motherfucker looks like they haven't slept in a minute. And they were to me with all the bags out of my eyes. You get what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be like this. While having choices is important in life, right? Yeah, at some point you gotta decide to move forward. Like, unless you're on The Price is Right or Let's Make a Deal or Deal or No Deal, gotta let that go, right? Okay. ultimately, because this is about getting our clarifier, getting our inner knowing in order. When we last saw the high priestess, we didn't want to engage in that high priestess in the what the fuckery position, right? Because she was obscured by the deep sense of nostalgia. I think dealing with the Five of Cups and the Six of Cups energy, it's a bit much. If you go back, I think a day or two, that's when you'll see the Six of Cups appear and High Priestess being the likely outcome that we do not want. But it's not that the High Priestess isn't useful at all. No, absolutely. We love High Priestess. We love her when she's using the intuition that she was, innately possessing in order to have the high level of discernment necessary to not be the messy queen on the couch, but the queen about her business, the queen standing on business, using that mind, mind over matter, facts over feelings. Like it requires digging into your high priestess energy. It requires you unlocking that hidden wisdom, that hidden knowledge, that deep down inside, this is what you know, even though you don't want to exert it. We have to take care of business, stand on business. We don't have time to be sitting around watching the damn soap operas, right? And being messy and dramatic. No matter how good it may feel in the moment, okay? So moving on to our oracle section here. Our prism is not playing around today. We gotta deal with that pain. While we can't and should not be crying over spilled milk, right? Lest we engage with that Seven of Cups energy and not knowing where to really put that energy. Unless we acknowledge the pain that we have in our lives and surrender, having radical acceptance to the realities of our situations, our cards dealt, if you will, unless we have space for these things to happen, then we're going to get caught up in the drama. We're going to, not necessarily accept the things that are before us. We're going to want to distract. We're going to want to delay. We're going to want to do, all the things that really aren't serving us. Pain and surrender here, like, what comes to me, Spirit? What's the difference between pain and suffering? Everybody deals with pain, but the pain that we choose to keep, no matter how conscious or subconsciously we're keeping on to that pain, that's where suffering really lives, I think surrendering allows us to let go of some levels of pain, especially when it comes to injustice, whenever we experience an injustice in our lives, a lot of times we can get into the fight or flight mode, but sometimes we maybe just need to sit there instead of, trying to attack everything or run away from everything. Sometimes we just need to sit and, do nothing but just observe our feelings. It's one thing to feel your feelings, but it's another thing to observe what you're feeling, right? Surrendering to the fact that you have pain in some way or some form actually serves to release the pain that you have. It opens up the way for resolution to come about. So, surrendering is actually a very powerful tool. It allows you to be able to see what's next. And sometimes we surrender in the moment, but we're able to regroup and come back in a way that's even more powerful. So do not reject pain just because it's pain, right? Figure out what that pain is here to teach you. That what is it about my life that I need to see? Alrighty. iPhone storage got full again, but we're moving on to our celebrity spirit oracle here. We got Mr. Kurt Cobain today. One of the interesting things that I didn't realize here about Sir Cobain is that he knew from a very young age that he wanted to be a rock star and was gonna die young, like things like that. Like that was just, you know, something that I don't know. Yeah, I mean, being that young and having such a vision, I don't think one realizes the impact of it until you join the 27 Club. But you know, it's very much it's giving very much that, you know, you gotta live a big life. You know, sometimes we're here for a good time, not a long time. I mean, you want to make your life as long as possible, definitely, you know, like, but you don't want to be so attached to life that you kind of let the good moments get away from you, or the moments that could be joyful. You know, it's kind of giving like Four of Cups energy still, where you know, you're so distracted that you're not realizing the cup that's being handed to you, you know, the good in life that's still present even when things seem like mad, you know. Needless to say, Nirvana was very influential. I think nowadays we get whenever someone thinks of Nirvana, they just think about the oversaturation of like the Nirvana tees, how many people wear them without knowing their music, things like that, you know, generationally, like the actual message that Nirvana had within their music getting lost, and everyone just thinks it's all about, you know, Smells Like Teen Spirit. But you know, influence is undeniable, and I think that's what we have. You know, like we each have like our own way of like, okay, what is going to help me stand out apart from the rest? What do I have that can nobody else give you nowhere else? And I think just the level of sensation that, you know, came from Nirvana. And I think that living on, you know, of course, Dave Grohl picking up the pieces wherever he could to, you know, make Foo Fighters what it is today, right? Amidst great tragedy, you know. Sometimes, you know, we are left in a situation that is like not of our own making, but it's like, what the fuck do I do? How will I go on without this person? You have to live your life. Have to live your life, and I mean, like, not just go through the motions. Gee, you deserve better than just simply like, hey, I gotta go to school, I gotta go to work, I gotta rest. Hey, I gotta go to school, I gotta go work, I gotta, you know, go pick up something, I gotta go do this for this person, I gotta do this for that person, I gotta make sure my kids are okay, I gotta make sure, you know, all of those things that is like, if we're being more robotic about life, we gotta find our inner Kurt. We gotta find our inner rock star, so to speak. And enjoy life. That is what is here for. Like, the purpose of life is to be happy. It is to be able to be truly happy based off of your unique mission in life, you know? So, everyone's got that mission. We can't forget it. Even when we deal with people who in our lives, whether around us or behind our backs. This was I was telling you, came back again. Motherfuckers be talking shit. I think that's why we like our TV. You know, we get to watch the people go at it. We get to watch the people take each other down through gossip, which we have already clarified as a form of violence, right? So, you know, let people talk. That's something that, try as you might, you can't necessarily stop. Even if it stops temporarily, you know, like, people who are in a low vibration are going to talk shit. People without solutions are going to talk shit. People who don't want solutions, who like deliberately like no, they want to remain in the problem or just remain being the problem. You get what I'm saying? You know, people gonna talk, but it's like how you carry yourself is what kind of it either gives credence to, you know, the bullshit they spitting, or, you know, you carrying on without engaging in that level, you know, of like, I don't know, just, yeah, pulling people down. Then, you know, the more you're able to rise above, right? Do the facts over feelings, stand on business, you know, the more you are in your Queen of Swords energy and not in your Queen of Cups energy right now, is definitely, that's what's going to help you. I'm promising you, that's what's going to help you. Like, don't get caught up in other people's messy garbage, okay? I find it interesting that you have just like these big pair of lips that are in a rose garden. Like, I know you like to think your shit don't stink, but lean a little bit closer, see, roses really smell like boo boo ooh. Yeah. So, you know, what else needs to be said about that? Moving back to Spotlight. Now, I promise you, I be shuffling the fuck out of these decks, right? So when something comes up, it really means like, okay, what needs your attention? For this to be returning, I think it behooves us to ask what is really needing our attention that perhaps we're not giving proper due focus on. Something needs to be in the limelight that, you know, deserves its time. Is it the pain that we're feeling? Is it the need to surrender? Is it the fact that we're maybe talking shit and we need to stop? I mean, what is needed? There's something that we need to do differently. We need to move around differently. Alternatively, when we stand on business, that's when the limelight that we deserve comes about. Like, unseen virtue brings visible reward is what I'm getting at. That's what Spirit is like, yo. Here's the thing on this as well. Unseen virtue brings visible reward. When we do what the fuck we're supposed to do, we don't need the limelight. We don't need the spotlight in order to do what the fuck we're supposed to do. At least most of us. Some of us do things that are seemingly virtuous, but we do it for attention, and that's the problem. We need to surrender that tendency if that's where you're at. If you're honest with yourself, hey, be the first one to surrender that tendency, because unseen virtue brings visible reward. You do not need to do things to be seen in order for life to reward you for doing what the fuck you're supposed to do. Sometimes that's why people talk shit. Because they don't know how virtuous you are. The things you do behind the scenes for other people, for yourself, for your growth, for like some people just hate. I'm sorry. Like some people just hate. Some people want to, you know, take on the role that they think you're taking on, but they don't know what it actually takes to be in your shoes, yo. Some people don't know, and they won't care about it until they're stuck in the mud, right? With the mess that they created by being a messy ass queen. So, you know, figure out what needs the spotlight in your life that's perhaps not getting it. And also, like, just know that, you know, Spirit sees you. The universe fucking sees you. When you are doing the things you need to do, when things get hard, when you're constantly, you know, practicing radical acceptance and surrendering to circumstances, and you're not crying over spilled milk because you know that the efforts that you put in now are going to bear fruit later, just know the spotlight is coming, okay? Because we have things going on in our lives that require our full attention. Period. Like, this is not the time to be fucking around. I'm gonna keep coming back to this messy queen, because this is what it's all about. We have shit that we need to tend to. Get the fuck off the couch, yo. And get your shit together. Tend to your queendom, baby. Because you have a mission. Everybody has a mission in life. And our mission really shouldn't be taking down other motherfuckers, you know, wasting time, being caught up, and like, you know, TV that's gonna rot your brain, situations that are gonna rot your brain. You get what I'm saying? Movies that are gonna rot your brain. You gonna say, you got too much. I'm gonna read this in the first person as it was written. I have things going on that my life required. Let me start this over. Reading backwards is not my forte. I have things going on in my life that require my full attention. Period. If you are not the writing type, try writing, or try using your voice memos, or, you know, try having a way of documenting what your priorities are, like what your actual goals are, so that you have that either visually or, you know, in an audible form to go back to, so that you're like, okay, nope, this is what I need to do. What we talked about, you know, breaking things down into baby steps, you know, so that we know exactly how we're going to get to that bigger, larger dream of ours. So yeah, it's the time. Do the things that require your full attention, so you're not having to play catch up later on in life, right? Moving on to our angelic connections. Witnessing a shooting star across the night sky is always an uplifting experience. We know it's more than just a momentary gift from the spiritual world. It's a promise of profound change to come. So we just, you know, are getting through the new moon in Cancer. Did you set your intentions? Did you write down what you want from this new moon cycle? Probably still have a chance. I mean, you're always gonna have a chance every single day. Like, it's not like it's not like you never do this, or you gotta wait till the next new moon. You can redetermine every day. But I think just being in alignment with the cycles of life, particularly the lunar phase, is very helpful. You know, it's actually one easy way to break down those goals. Like, what am I gonna get done by the next moon cycle? What, you know, when the full moon happens, okay, where am I gonna be? Okay, when the next new moon happens a month later, like, where am I gonna be, right? It's just important to do. I mean, it's a way. It's not the way, but, you know, there's so many ways we can keep ourselves organized and standing on business, our Queen of Swords energy, right? Okay, so with all of that being said, here today, all right, with our timing oracle, there's so many, I have so many questions. A lot of them are petty questions. But in order to get the most out of this, ultimately, this Queen of Swords energy, I guess when we think about the Queen of Swords spotlight and our Dark Confessions oracle, which was the I have things going on in my life that require my full attention, when will those of us that are standing on business get a break? Let's figure that out. A break or a breakthrough? You get what I'm saying? Let's see here. I promise you I'll be shuffling these decks like crazy. Sometimes they be a little bit stubborn though. One more time. All right. Me doing this on the edge of this doesn't necessarily. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna cut once, cut twice. Here we go. I'm gonna just. So, yes, our question is, when will those of us who are standing on business catch a break or a breakthrough? Oof. Y'all, it is hot. It is hot. It is hot. It is hot. Okay, 12 months from now. We're dealing with a lot of like long-term, investments. We have to put in the work. We have to put in the time. And we have to see like, okay, what is gonna happen, We can't think of like everything as instant. You get what I'm saying? Like managing our time management skills. You get what I'm saying? Having time management skills is what ultimately makes something that's a longer timeline not feel as long, because you're constantly, benchmarking. Successful people benchmark the fuck out of what they're doing. Okay, I have this measured sense of success, and the best success is like not success compared to somebody else's life and how they did things. It is solely compared to like who you were yesterday, and the day before that versus who you are today and tomorrow and moving forward. So, don't compare your timeline to anyone else's. Know that things are supposed to take time, But that being said, it's time to let go as well, right? I'm really feeling that, just don't cry over spilled milk. It's time to let go, y'all, so that we can make these benchmarks happen. Let go of shit today so you can see that shit manifest in the future, okay? What else did I want to reinforce? Oh. So, yes, 94. That's when Kurt had passed, right? April 5th, 1994. So, in 2002, I believe, is when kicking the tripod, is when the commemorative album came, or, when I say commemorative, the posthumous release where they had the single You Know You're Right? There was something about me, like, I don't know, this is like when MTV2 first came out, and it was just recycling content, like you were just watching the same shit, like, every 30 minutes, basically. But they constantly released, like, the archival footage of, I believe it was Kurt Loder who announced on MTV that Kurt Cobain had passed. Yeah, I think I was like 8 years old. I was just like, I felt like it was just happening, right? I say that to say is like legacy, because this person had been gone already for almost 10 years. And me, as an 8-year-old kid, yeah, like, I get it, like, kids are gonna have feelings, right? But like, just was like, no, like, like I went through the experience as if he had just passed, right? I think having that song, holding on to You Know You're Right for 8 years is like crazy. I think now we think of like musicians who passed, about their posthumous releases, like we're instantly like, okay, well, what else did they record that's in the vault, and let's drop it right now, and like, because we want to still have that connection with that artist. But coming from the era of the 90s, where the projects were released every like 3 to 5 years usually for many artists, we were waiting a long time for their next release to come out. In the age of instant gratification, I don't think that's really happening so much. But I'm saying all of this to say that what our legacy is important. Like, we want to have the type of life where we live it so that even when we pass on, people are still saying like, wow, like this person was so impactful, so loved. And I mean, a lot of people talk shit about Kurt Cobain. I learned recently also about how before Kurt dated Courtney Love, Courtney Love was with Billy Corgan, and that they were supposed to go on tour together, and that did not happen because Billy was really upset that Kurt was with Courtney. Like, I don't know, like, when you think about like all the drama that happened in that Queen of Cups shit that happened in the 90s, and you're just like how was that even a real time? How was that even real? But yeah, you want to live a good life. You want to, deal with your pain and surrender to it, and not, kind of bitch out because, things happen. People change. People leave you. People gonna leave you. Relationships end all the time, B. So, in any case, at this point, I'm just talking shit. But thank you for indulging me in all this Nirvana fun fact stuff. But yeah, it's time to let go. Whatever's not serving you, get the fuck out of here. Don't be a messy queen, okay? Please. I'm not gonna pull that card again, but don't be the Queen of Cups today. Be like the Queen of Swords. Alrighty, y'all. I appreciate you for watching. This has been your daily collective tarot and oracle reading on Jade Emerald Green. We'll be back tomorrow, and I just so appreciate y'all. Thank you. Ciao.